Tonight's story is about something that sounds impossible. Imagine receiving a message on your phone, not from a friend, not from a stranger, but from the future. Now imagine that every message predicts something that will happen. Exactly 1 minute later, at first, it feels like a lucky coincidence. Then it starts happening again and again, until you realize something terrifying. Some futures are not meant to be changed. This is the story of I received a text message from the future. Let me tell you a strange story about a man named Mark. One ordinary morning, Mark's phone vibrated. He looked down and saw a message from an unknown number. It said, "You will drop your coffee in 60 seconds. Mark laughed. He wasn't even holding coffee. But exactly 1 minute later, someone bumped into him at the cafe. His arm hit a stranger's cup, and hot coffee splashed all over his shirt. Mark froze. Slowly, he pulled out his phone. Another message had already arrived. You're about to realize this isn't a coincidence. And that was the moment everything started to feel wrong. Mark was just an ordinary office worker. His life was simple. Same alarm every morning, same train ride to work. Same boring desk waiting for him every day. Nothing unusual ever happened to him. Until that Tuesday, his phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. It said, "The elevator will stop between floors for 10 seconds. Mark frowned. He assumed it was spam or some kind of weird prank. So he ignored it and stepped into the office elevator. The doors closed. The elevator started moving, and suddenly it stopped. The lights flickered. The elevator stayed stuck between floors. 1 second, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Then it continued moving like nothing happened. Mark slowly took out his phone. Another message had already appeared. "Now you believe me." At first, Mark thought someone was messing with him. But the messages didn't stop. And every single one predicted something exactly 1 minute before it happened. One message said, "Your boss will call your name." A minute later, Mark. His boss called from across the office. Another message appeared. "Your pen will stop working." Mark wrote something down. The pen immediately ran out of ink. Then another message arrived. "Someone will spill water in the meeting room." 30 seconds later, a glass tipped over during the meeting. Water spilled everywhere. Mark stared at his phone in disbelief. Every prediction was perfect. Not early, not late. Exactly 1 minute before it happened, then a new message appeared. "A man outside will drop his wallet. Pick it up." Mark hesitated. But curiosity got the better of him. He walked outside the building. A man passed him on the sidewalk, and suddenly, a wallet slipped from the man's pocket. Mark quickly picked it up. Inside was a large amount of cash. And that was when a dangerous thought entered his mind. If he could see the future, even just 1 minute ahead, he could change his life. Over the next few days, Mark started relying on the messages. He avoided small accidents. He predicted problems before they happened. He even started winning bets with co-workers. Then, one day, a message said, "Buy a lottery ticket. The last number will be 7. Mark laughed. But he bought the ticket anyway. Later that night, the winning numbers were announced. And the last number was 7. For the first time in his life, Mark felt incredibly lucky, almost like the universe had chosen him. But a few nights later, everything changed. His phone vibrated again. The message said, "In 1 minute, a car will hit a woman crossing the street." Mark looked up. Across the road, a woman was about to cross the street. She had headphones in and was looking down at her phone. A car was speeding toward the intersection. Mark didn't hesitate. He ran toward her. "Hey, wait." He grabbed her arm and pulled her back onto the sidewalk. A car sped past them just seconds later. The woman looked shocked, but she was safe. Mark felt a wave of relief, then his phone vibrated again. The new message made his blood run cold. "You weren't supposed to stop that." Mark stared at the screen. Another message appeared immediately. "Timeline deviation detected." His hands started shaking. More messages flooded his phone. "Correction required." "Event must happen. Someone must take her place." Mark slowly lifted his head and suddenly realized something terrifying. The same car was turned the corner again, but this time it was heading straight toward him. His phone vibrated one final time. The message read, "In 60 seconds, you will understand who sent these messages." Mark stared at the screen. For the first time, the sender's name appeared. It wasn't a phone number. It said, "Mark, 1 minute ahead." Confused, Mark looked across the street, and under a dim streetlight, he saw someone standing there, holding a phone, watching him. It was himself. And just before the car reached him, one final message appeared on the screen. "I tried to warn you." Sometimes, knowing the future sounds like a gift. But what if every warning came with a price? And what if changing one moment creates something even worse? So tell me, if you received a message from the future warning you about something terrible, would you try to stop it? Or would you leave the future alone? Let me know what you would do in the comments. And if you enjoy mysterious short stories like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more stories that might make you question reality. Until the next tale, stay curious.